Good morning to you all. Welcome to the IDA meeting on the 9th of July. As we start the meeting, I just would like to announce officially that Brian Berrien is joining the board and ask Jasmine to take the roll call to include him.
Mark Doyle,
Here.
Amy Bonaderi,
Here.
Deidre Houston, Tom LeCount,
Here.
Jane McComb,
Here.
Brian Berrien.
Excellent. And so, are there any conflict of interest disclosures for our business today? Okay. And proof of meeting notice when it comes?
Yes.
More time. Are there any bills and communications? None. Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes for June 4th. Any comments, corrections, motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Tom.
I'll second.
Amy Bonaderi, Tom LeCount, Jane McComb,
Approve.
Mark Doyle.
Approve. Jane, would you give us your report, and thank you for adding the 6-month
Right.
status.
Okay, the balance sheet, just to note that we have cash of 2.5 million. The P&L, looking at the budget annualized, is we have cash revenue of 115,000 to a budget of 309,000. So far we're unfavorable by 194,000. Again, that's the admin fees we're short on. Expenses were 470,000 to a budget of 747,000. So far we're favorable by 277,000. We have a net loss of 355,000 to a budgeted net loss of 438,000. So far for the year, we're 83,000 favorable. We paid out 7.1 in pilot payments, and we took in the pilot payments of 7.1. So that's a wash. Is if you look, Peter, could you please put the IDA, this was not in the packet, so just to display it on the screen for those that didn't receive it. Just a quick look at the 6-month budget. Well, it is, I put 6 months in there. And we're still favorable really in the expenses because Dutchess Tourism was paid their full amount of 425,000 for the year. So they have a payment at the 1/1 and 6 in June. So therefore, even though it looks like we're over budget, we're not in that regard. That budget will be equal. So, but that's just a quick look at 6 months. Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you. So, reports from committees. Has there been any committee meetings? No? Very good. And likewise, unfinished business. Good. So I think we're at the point of, unless there's anything else, I'll call Joe Amendola in from the Town Centre Development.
Want to sit up here? They can sit.
Probably.
And yeah, no other ones.
Let's see, actually, if you want to head up to the area up there, that would be great.
How you guys doing?
Not bad, how are you?
Good.
Good.
I'll introduce Joe Amendola from our Town Centre Developments LLC.
These are just elevations and floor plan of the project.
Joe, just give me a second. I'd like to just, for the record, introduce the,
I have a conflict.
oh, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so,
I.
fine, very much.
I have to recuse because my company did the architecturals.
Right there on the engineering.
Against the code, Brian?
Yeah,
Oh.
Sorry.
You use guys all the time for everything.
yeah.
Right,
I didn't. She wasn't even me, I was.
thank you. So,
Sure,
give you a shout.
thank you.
Well,
And you don't have.
You don't have
I
a
don't have a quorum.
we don't have a quorum?
Quorum, yeah. It's only three of us.
Okay, well, that was going to be for the consideration approval of the preliminary resolution for Town Centre Developments LLC, Town of LaGrange, to induce a project providing a mortgage tax exemption, sales tax exemption, and a payment in lieu of taxes for an approximately $4 million project for construction and development of a mixed-use residential and commercial building at 1189 Route 55 on approximately 1.19 acres. We don't have a quorum, so we will not be, I'm very sorry indeed, we will not be able to come to a conclusion here, although is there any reason why we can't have a presentation and go forward?
Reason, you can go forward with a presentation.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a question? What is your timeline for this project or deadlines? Well, I was hoping to get this going sooner than later. The town of LaGrange, I don't know if you guys have dealt with them. We deal with towns all the time because we're builders. They are painfully slow. I built my office is right by the roundabouts by the post office, like during COVID. And like, I bought that property on Christmas Eve of like 2018.
Can I just let you know that these are live streamed, these are also recorded, so.
No, yeah. So like, we were hoping, no, I'm fine with it. Everyone there is nice and I tell them the same thing, but I started that project and like drew it in one day. We didn't get approval for like 2 years. So it's just been very, very slow. And in the project, there's more stuff to deal with, like, the archaeology was slow, the DOT been a little bit slower because of like just the shape of that area and the sidewalks. They're having trouble deciding like what bench we can put in because they discontinued a bench. But I do this for a living and I've done it for 20 years, so I'm used to it. So to answer your question, I would like it had been yesterday, but I feel like it might be, I'm hoping that we have a permit by like November. And I think the way that this was explained to me, because this is all new to me, this aspect, was the closing is kind of in concert with the closing on the construction loan. So hopefully sometime in the fall, we would have this work out.
The other problem we have is we don't have an August meeting.
You guys don't do an August meeting.
Right,
But we could always do a special meeting, which is just a small fee.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, because the amount of money we've kind of wasted already is kind of crazy. So I'm fine with that, whatever you guys need me to do. You know, I'm local, I live right by can walk to this project in 5 seconds, so I can come here whenever you guys need me.
And you have approvals, permits from the town and approval from the school district
For the pilot,
for the pilot, yes.
have you spoken to the town?
I've spoke to the town, but I have no hard approvals from them. I've just done everything. Once I heard about this, maybe 8 months ago or so, I've came in and just kind of done everything that I've been asked, and that hasn't been asked of me yet, but.
The one thing I wanted to note is, so this was on for preliminary approval today, but we had noted that they don't yet have their seeker approvals, and we were not even going to schedule the public hearing on this until they had those approvals in place. So there's a chance that if this preliminary resolution was adopted, it would still be on hold.
That's fine.
Before moving forward with the
Yep.
public hearing, because it's dependent on the timeline for seeker
For
and town
other
approvals.
100% fine. Very good. All right, so let us know more about the project.
So I just wrote something quick yesterday, and yeah, I wanted to just read it to you guys so you have an overview, and then if you have more questions, maybe I'll be able to answer them right away. But Just want to say good morning, everybody. I'm Joe Amendola, and I wanted to start by thanking the board for having me here today and supporting small businesses like mine as we continue to invest in shaping communities we care about. I started my business nearly 2 decades ago. We've been growing from mowing lawns and stonework to building fully custom homes and community-focused developments. This LaGrange Town Center project is an exciting step forward, not just for our company, but for the town. Our goal is to create a walkable, vibrant, beautifully integrated town center that brings families, local businesses, and homeowners together. And it's more about than just construction. It's about smart growth and long-term value for everybody. What makes this project unique is that we're local. We live here, we work here, we build here, and we care deeply about how this area grows. We're not a national developer, and we are a small business doing a big project. That means everything has to line up just right for it to work, especially on the financial side. I want to be honest, we're right on the cusp of the debt service ratio. Our bank, we're working with Tompkins Mahopac. They've let us know that, and that's what got us involved in doing the pilot program. So this project really won't be viable for us because we're already on the cusp. And as I said before, everything has been extended like months and months. And the board has changed at the town of LaGrange, which delayed us a few months as well. So we're already just continuing to add into escrow and making everything a bit tighter. Again, in construction, you could plan down to every last inch. You always have overages. So this really kind of gives us that little bit of cushion to play with. And so that's really what I wanted to say. And I just want to thank everyone again for your time, your support for local businesses like mine over the years and long-term investments. So that's kind of what I got.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about how you envisage the commercial component working for you? And
yeah, it's what I really wanted to do was, I don't know if you guys are aware of my offices we built. It has like a gym in the back. They train like high school athletes and actually some professional athletes, but that white and black building by the post office. So like in 22, the property next to me was for sale. I think it's back on the market. And it turned out I knew the guy and we were going to go to project together. And his father, you know, kind of like his father was older and they went back and forth and it was like 18 months and then it kind of just didn't work out. So then I talked to Mike Kelly, he was selling his property. And what I envisioned for both those spaces was to just have like almost like a miniature Eastdale. Like I live in like a 200-year-old farmhouse right in that little loop of Lauer. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the area, but it's right behind that like Century 21 building. So it's right there. So like I want this area, like I am one of the only people that like jog on those sidewalks or go on those sidewalks. And I want like that area to be like a bigger Rhinebeck, you know, like a Rhinebeck is beautiful. It's a tiny little stretch, but that's what I want that area to be like. And you can see, you know, there's different variations I drew of this building. But then we have to meet certain requirements and then we had to tweak things. So that's kind of what we fell on. But the idea is to have that commercial space generate at least 4 spaces. And we've already had interest. Like I haven't put it out there at all, like to advertise at all. And, you know, people talk, it's a small area. And I've already had like 10 or 15 people be like, oh, when you build that, I want a space. And, you know, there's obviously not that many spaces, but I'm pretty sure it'll fill up pretty quick. And I kind of just envision it being like Eastdale, like people can walk, whether they're walking from the high school to get like a bagel, or if they're, you know, coming from the post office, or if they're an adult and they're stopping in, or even for the people that live there, have something functional downstairs for them. So that's the idea of that area. You know, I want to do some pathways and connect to Zoe's, and then as it gets, you know, as they build the Rieger area and the Rieger development, the whole thing starts just becoming like cohesive and nice looking. Because right now you're kind of just living in you know, a rundown building.
So which building is that? Which exact parcel? I see.
You know Kelly Steaks and Spirits?
Yeah.
That building.
That's what I thought it was. Okay.
Yeah. There's a right of way through there, but it should.
At the new Dunkin'?
Parking lot.
between the Dunkin' and.
Yeah, the new Dunkin' and Zoe.
Yeah, the Dunkin's up a little bit and then Zoe's is a neighbor.
Yeah, that's good, okay.
And then, so you've sort of adopted the town center development's name, but what is it, 20 years ago that the.
Oh, yeah, since I was a kid, I've heard
Did
of
the
it.
town center plan for
Yes.
the larger town center, so it's.
Yeah, it
and
should
you feel like
fit
you
in.
fit into that.
That was like another thing that slowed us down, I think about 2, maybe 3 months. This is what they wanted. My first meeting with the town, which was 16, 17 months ago, everyone loved it. And then we got hung up on like verbiage saying that it had to be predominantly commercial. And then everyone was like, well, no one really wants the commercial on the second floor. So it took about 2 or 3 months to change the word predominantly. So there's been just a lot of delays. So that's, on his timeline question, I didn't have the exact answer, but, maybe November seems realistic.
Right. Well, go ahead, Ron.
Chairman, I was just going to offer, obviously Jamie said we can have a special meeting and there is the opening in August, and whenever that special meeting is, I would support or request that the organization consider waiving the fee because of the fact that we didn't have the quorum and you had to take your time.
I appreciate that.
But not wanting to schedule the public hearing until the secret review has been completed, maybe it's best to be in touch with us and let us know
Yes.
where you are in the secret process, where we should be
I
involved.
think we're almost there from, going back with Dane Stokoza. It's crazy, I've never met that woman before. We've worked with them forever. But we always work with Brian and Nita and Garrett. But anyway, we're supposedly, I've heard we were very close on that 2 months ago. I think we were waiting on some stuff from the DOT, kind of slowed us down. We had to get a separate engineer, Collier, to do some extra work. So I think that's very close. But I can keep you guys posted about that, so you know.
All right, because clearly not to have a special meeting if it's
Yeah, I don't want to waste your guys' time.
it's not required.
So our expectation is they will notify us when they are ready to go, and then we can
Then
consider the special
if
meeting.
necessary, you can try to quickly call a special meeting and have a quorum and be able to then start the process.
Okay.
But we appreciate an application like yours. You're a small business, like you said, making a good effort in town. And we will review it and see what the board does when we finally get our quorum together. And thank you for.
But Chairman, I also, how does the applicant, I always value the opinion of the school district and town regarding the pilot. Is that something the applicant does on their own, or is that part of our process?
Well, I mean, first of all, if it is, every year, at the beginning of the year, you re-adopt your standard policies, so
Right.
the uniform tax exemption policy. When you do that, if that's all they're seeking, then there's no need, the boards are on notice, they're allowed to make comments about that, but we never really.
The taxing boards.
The tax, yeah, so the school board and the town board can weigh in if they like. But the standard uniform tax exemption policy arrangement doesn't really call for the boards having any real input, require the input. You can always ask, but as far as the town's concerned, if it's consistent with their zoning, the town should have no issue with it. As far as the school board is concerned, generally speaking, they're looking for school-age children and fiscal impacts for them and whether or not the increased taxes are going to cover it. With a predominantly or somewhat important commercial aspects to all of this, then how many school-age children will be generated should be part of the secret process as they review it. And it should, and again, they could be heard during secret on the town side. But we have a standard policy, and if it's in accordance with the standard policy, we have nothing that requires the board to require the applicant to go talk to them about any of that. It's when we're deviating from that standard policy, when they need that, is when we're saying, well, we want to hear from the boards and find what their opinion is. But again, it's not for their consent, it's for their input, and you consider that when you make the determination.
Absolutely.
And Jamie, when, since the executive director vacancy, I did take it upon myself to reach out to the town supervisor, Alan Bell, when the application came in, to make sure that not only he supported the project, that it was consistent with their comprehensive plan, which he acknowledged it was, but that they did not object to the idea considering benefits. And I also did check with county planning to make sure, again, this project was consistent with the comprehensive plan.
It's great.
Yeah, now that he brought all that up, when I first talked to Sarah Lee, she said something about like whenever this was originally adopted. I don't remember if it was like, she said the 70s. It was something much longer than I expected. And she was like, the towns agree to it and your project conforms to it. She did say something like if you were over 10 million, you would have to do a bunch of other things, but she was like, your project kind of fits the bill. So I think that might be why I never went directly to them about it, but I think that makes sense with now that when I first talked to Sarah.
Sounds good.
Thanks for talking to Alan. I appreciate that.
The one other thing, Chairman, if you don't mind, is on the tax exemption policy, there is also the housing component of the policy where it's just purely market rate housing projects. And there's a couple factors for the board to consider there. And one of the factors to consider is whether they've received written support from the taxing jurisdictions. And then the other one is if it's consistent with the master plan, if it's, advances efforts to make a walkable neighborhood and community. And then if there's an independent market study showing an unmet need for housing within the local community. So that's for just purely housing projects. And depending on the size of the commercial versus housing here, I don't know if it would fall under the purely for, market rate housing project.
And Liz, we do have the 2022 housing needs assessment, which clearly identifies the need for housing. Is that sufficient, or does the town need to have one themselves?
I think.
We cover every one of them.
Right, exactly. I think that you have that on record, and then, like you said about the master plan, and then as you just discussed about the walkable neighborhood and community, I think that covers the factors there for.
Right.
And just so you guys know, like it's essentially a rectangle. You'll be able to see it, but it's about 19,000 square feet. First floor commercial, so it's 1/3 commercial, 2 floors of residential, a total of 14 apartments. There'll be 1 bedrooms, a couple 2 bedrooms. So, and they should, I know people say luxury with everything, but it will have like a, a nicer, clean, new feel, bright, lots of windows, stuff like that.
Is the parking in the rear? How are you arranging?
The parking, because there's a right of way, I should have brought you guys the site plan. I can send that too. But if you're familiar with the property, you would pull in on the right side and there's 2 homes in the back. So you would be able to go right through the parking lot. There will be parking to the right and then parking behind it. So the building is essentially going to be where the current building is now, which helps for the archaeology aspect of it. It's just going to be larger. And so you'll park behind and on the side, and then we'll do tons of plantings in there, like Norway spruces, river birches, hydrangeas, that will, some boulders and stuff. Like when it's done, it's going to look gorgeous.
Okay.
Yeah, love to see the site plan.
Yeah, I can send.
Yeah,
that,
next time you come,
to
that's
Peter,
fine.
too, if you guys want.
Yeah, just get to Peter.
Yeah.
All right, Don and Liz, anything else to add to that?
Just a question, did you run into any environmental concerns in that area? I know when they did
They have the blending turtles because my office is there, and nothing has come up yet with like the Indiana bats and the blending turtles. I think like it's a certain period, I forget because we've done this a few times, I should know. But there's like a certain month you can't take the trees down because of the Indiana bats and everything like that. And then we'll have to put up signs just like at the golf course, and I have them up at my office for the blending turtles. But other than that, like really there's not going to be too much disturbance because the property's already been cleared. So we're really just taking it down and then building pretty much in the same space. And the parking lot's essentially the same as well. So it shouldn't really have any kind of impact with that. I don't think.
I know in that area, there's that time's been issues with environmental things.
Yeah, the turtles are something they're always concerned about in that area. But I think we never have an issue with it. They just address it, and then we're supposed to set up the signs and be aware of it.
Right. Thank you.
You guys have any other questions or anything?
No, thank you very much. We'll
Thank you, guys.
see you then.
I'll walk you out and get Amy.
Oh, good, thank you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Fortunate on for Amy.
Yeah.
But Don, just about every time we get a project, there's always like an opinion that seems.
A lot of them have been deviated pilots.
Yeah, on the larger ones, yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost become unusual to have a.
Yeah, yeah.
standard.
And it's a little bit smaller too, yeah.
It still helps to have the support.
Not only because what we're running into at Jackson Crossing, that's
Yeah.
the thing that triggers my thought process.
Would that likely be in the form of a letter or something like that, Don, that kind of support?
It would come out at the public hearing like it did in these.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, I know in the past Sarah would sometimes reach out and they would either attend the meeting of the IDA or submit a letter after a meeting of the board.
Yeah, like Nick's always at the meetings, dealing with these future projects.
All right, so we feel like we're within the sort of normal bounds of,
Yeah,
okay, very good.
Sorry about that.
That's quite all right. It's not like you've had anything to do with it by the look of things. All right, so fine, but we do need you now because the next item is to elect a treasurer. And we have had a bit of a discussion and it seems like the bylaws, unless Don has come up with something and he's come up with something different in the meantime, is that one of the possibilities is that the vice chair can also have the treasurer title or position.
Correct.
And so that would be my proposition. If that is supported, I'd be glad.
And Mr. Chairman, we did talk during the board member orientation about Brian, if the board was interested, once he's on board, serving as an officer. It's obviously up to the board.
Right. We did.
yeah, but at this point, if Brian's new, I mean, I could be in term for a year
Exactly.
as treasurer, only because I've been through the audits and have the finance background. I mean, I don't mind serving or not serving. And since I'm already vice chair, which somebody nominated me when I was here. So, which is fine. But yeah, the treasurer, I think it's somewhat important. Does he have a finance background or?
He has worked for a bank, but that was part of
that's
the
right.
strategy is to get people to come to meetings by appointing them when they're not here to.
Oh, that's right, yeah. That's not a bad strategy.
And he worked for a bank on the facility side of. So now, I do think that, we have now, following this, a discussion about the committees, the audit and the finance committee. And so I think that would be a good introduction for him and to learn about the ins and outs of the organization. So can we just roll this into one item, Jasmine, or have you got it separated and
No, we can
you don't mind doing that? Okay.
combine those.
So why don't we just continue on and discuss the audit and finance committees? And I think in the past, they've been the same people in those two committees. So do you recall?
What do you mean the same committees? I mean,
The audit and the finance committee,
Yes.
yes, yeah, it was Don, Kathy and myself for a number of years.
right. So,
Kathy being the treasurer / secretary.
right. So think that I put my hand up for joining those committees. And
We should
that would be
nominate Brian
Unity
then,
and then Brian.
right,
If that's,
on the audit and finance committee.
all right.
So
So
then,
then,
let's make a motion.
so if we can have a motion to have the officer position of treasurer and the vice chair and treasurer be the same, and that the audit and finance committees comprise the three of us being myself and no.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead, yeah.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jamie as treasurer and appoint Brian, Jamie, and Mark as audit and finance committee members.
Right.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Right, Amy Bonadieri,
Approved.
Tom LeCount,
Approved.
James McCone.
Approved.
Mark Doyle.
Approved. Thank you. Stop me from bumbling on.
Mr. Chairman, while you're on committees, I just wanted to bring up the committee that was reviewing the UTEP as it relates to housing and incentives. And I think, Jamie, you worked on that.
Amy and Al Torgiani.
Yeah, I'd like to request if you could, if we could schedule a meeting to further that conversation. I know we did get feedback from planning and like to take that next step. So I defer to the board as to when you'd like to have that meeting. We'd like to schedule it sometime in the next 30 days and also include some other individuals, including council and our commissioner of planning.
And we would also like to appoint another board member.
Yes, we're hopefully that will happen during the August meeting.
Okay.
If there's an August meeting.
Or a special meeting.
Yeah. So, what do people's calendar look like for the rest of July? Is that what you're thinking is tail end of July?
Yeah, and I know we don't have to schedule it right now, but I defer to Jamie or you. But like to try to just get that meeting happen as soon as possible and get the discussion moving forward. Because I think we're going to see more of these applicants and we want to make sure that it's consistent with the needs of the county.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty open in the morning for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I won't be here 1 week, the middle week. I'll be back. I'm going to, what is it? So the 26th, that Saturday, that was 5 days before.
So we'll work with Jasmine and get something on the calendar. I just want to get your permission. Thank you.
Oh, this is a meeting to discuss and further the sort of our policy regarding housing and how that fits into the applications.
Will that include the whole board?
It's the committee, but it's up to you guys.
It should.
I think that if we're gonna expect to see more housing applicants coming forward, going down the road, I think we should include the whole board.
There is a working committee. Again, I defer to Jamie because he's been, and Amy, because they were working on it. But I think they need to take the comments from the county and consider those. I never attended any of these meetings. I wasn't invited. So we should go through what the county's recommendations are and further that discussion and then bring it to the full board because you will be required to do a regular public meeting if you're going to all be considering it and making a decision.
Because we also discussed local labor, the waivers.
Yep.
That's where it started. That's how it kind of blossomed was we started getting more and more waiver requests for specialty labor that wasn't available within their parameters of the contract. So we were trying to tighten that up with Al Torgiani. So we definitely need somebody in the construction labor to be on that committee.
And the one thing I wanted to know is when the committee was created, it's not given any authority to make any decisions. So it was really to allow a group to do a deep dive on some of these issues without having it be something where it has to be with the whole board, but then present all of the results of that to the board. So there wouldn't be any decisions made unless it's been presented and the whole board is hearing it. So it will still be brought before the full board.
So that doesn't really clarify whether we should or shouldn't have a greater.
I think we do what you guys have been doing.
I think
have a workshop meeting.
I think we have a workshop meeting first, but I also think maybe you were appointed because of your labor or construction. So whether it be Tom or, Tom, right?
Yep.
Added to the committee or Brian or both. There's no size requirements.
No, I don't think.
I think everybody's welcome to participate who wants to. It's just there's no decisions to be made as you.
Right. But I'd like a third committee member, board member.
That request has been sent to the legislature. They are, I'll have to get an update.
Right. That's, no, I mean, a third of our committee, of our board members currently to be on that committee.
Understood.
Because yes, we're also waiting for another board member as well.
So should we just lock that in with a?
I think I'd like to have Tom on
Do
our
that.
committee.
I'd be good.
All right. So
So it'd be
that's
Amy.
your motion. You
myself,
want to make a second and?
I'll make a second.
What is the ad hoc committee's name?
I don't remember.
Neither do I.
Policies.
Policy review.
Well, I'm sorry, Ms. Wall.
Policy Review Committee.
Oh, that's all it was.
So who made the motion?
Jamie.
Jamie?
Amy, then I did.
Okay, Mark Doyle,
Approve.
Amy Bonadiri.
Approve.
Tom LeCount.
Approved.
Jane Bacone.
Approved. Tom, Amy.
Great.
So then Jasmine, you're gonna do a invite, or Google, whatever it is, survey for dates.
Thank you. All right. See how that goes.
I am.
Good. I think we can adjourn this IDA meeting.
Chairman, I just had one other item I wanted to bring up. I did have a conversation with our new controller of the county, who has been in that position for this year so far. He had asked me about the IDA, gave him a briefing on the IDA, and he had asked me about the 2018 controller's audit, which everything was fine, but there were some observations and recommendations that they had made. Based on what I know, it looks like all of them were reviewed and implemented. There were a couple outstanding that I still need to get clarification on, but we'll be following up probably with a notice, so I didn't want to get anyone spooked, just my response to the controller. And one of the things I wanted to just remind the board members is that when you're doing your project evaluation and your surveys, that your disclosure, if you have a conflict, that it be on that document. And also that in advance of the meeting, when Jasmine sends out the packets, that the members respond back to Jasmine if there is a conflict, so that we know that the week prior. So there may be a little bit more follow-up, but again, the controller was just asking about how we responded internally. We did a formal letter, Sarah did a formal letter back, but how we responded internally, what we did implement. And in bringing up this housing, this new housing, potentially housing policy, we obviously will have to go back to the UTEP. And at that time, we'll just do another quick review of it. So I'll follow up with the entire board, but I just wanted you to have that knowledge that the controller was asking and looking for how we implement it.
Thank you. We always look for disclosures ahead of time, but we also always make those at the moment, just as we had today. So we're fine with that. This request came to you directly, Ron, or was it from the controller? Was it
The controller?
addressed to Jane initially?
The original
Idea.
audit was in 2018.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, and then Sarah responded. The controller is an independent elected official in the county. We work with them on a regular basis. And so he was asking me for some information on the IDA. And then he furthered it by saying, asking what we did with the findings of the audit. And because I separated myself in 2017 from this organization, I needed to get back to him. So it was just a general inquiry and.
Not directed to.
No, nothing formal and.
Fine, so we won't need to respond.
Oh, no. Nothing formal and no concern, but this is just working with another county department.
I just want to be clear on this. We're talking about the state comptroller's audit or
No, the risk assessment that was done by the state controller was fine and actually, you know, the 2018 audit by the county controller at the time, Robin Lois, was good. It's just that there were observations and recommendations and he was wondering what was done because he's new. And I had explained a number of them and pretty much everything was met. And I think we're in good shape. But the couple items that I didn't know because I haven't seen the project evaluations or the surveys and some other things that Jane confirmed for me allowed me to get back to him immediately with some things. And there's a couple follow-ups that I need to make, but just general information. He was just asking questions and I was responding, nothing formal.
Good. So with that, any other observations? So, to adjourn the IDA meeting.